had thin arms, and she wore a white dress like one of my mother's scarves. She was leaning back against the trunk of a huge mossed tree, as though trying to protect it, a hunter's arrow buried deep in her breast. I would look at that picture when I was alone, at the thin fingers of her left hand splayed like a starfish grasping the bark, at the blood-red fletching, the stub of the wooden shaft, at the place where it disappeared, right there, just above that small, painful arc, that indescribable, exquisitely painful arc. There was a look on her face, caught between the strands of black, blowing hair, that I found shameful and disturbing and mysterious. I could never look at it for long. A look of shock, of course, and pain, yes, but something else, something I could not understand then, can barely understand now. A look of pleading, of utter renunciation, of love beyond all song and argument. No one could tell you about my father without first telling you something about her. She made him, you see, shaped him, turned him into the man he was. She changed the course of his life as easily as a hill turns a meadow stream, and though you might think that given enough time the stream will move the hill or cut it through, it's the stream that will twist in its bed, alter its course. The new comes to feel natural. Detour becomes destiny. For 26 years, Antonin Sedlak was like every other mother's son in the city of Brno, Czechoslovakia, 4 rows up, 3 over, running his own particular course to the sea. Then he ran into her, and nothing was ever the same for him again. What can I say about my father that isn't bent out of truth by hindsight, misshapen by love? My father was a good and decent man, I think. A man capable of outrage over the world he happened to have found himself in, but someone whose faith in reason, like some men's faith in God or love, remained intact long after his life had made it ridiculous. He couldn't help it. His every gesture departed from that well-lit station, and though he understood how quaint this was, he was powerless to change it. It was his nature, and he wore it with dignity, like a childhood hat one has long outgrown but can't remove for the rest of his life, and somehow I could never bring myself to hold it against him. I have a small square photograph of him I've always liked for some reason I can't quite explain. There he is, already tall at 13, handsome enough, seemingly comfortable in a collar as high and stiff as a whiplash brace, looking straight on. Not smiling, and yet there is something there, a touch of amusement, perhaps, a calm recognition of the absurdity of the proceedings that seems like a smile. Everything that he accomplished in his life was a violence against that almost smile, against its generosity, its good-humored reasonableness and decency, against his very nature. And that, too, the smile seems to anticipate and accept for the irony it is. I see him clearly now, like a house revealed by fallen leaves. My father, who fashioned himself over the years into a kind of load-bearing joint, braced up to his burden, and died 2 years after being relieved of it. Who didn't know how to be in a world so suddenly lightened? I remember the bumps of blue veins on the backs of his hands, the mole on his cheek. I can see him, his big warm forehead, his way of listening while lighting a cigarette.